The function f is such that f of x is equal to ln of 5x plus 2 for x is greater than a, where a is as small as possible. Now, this has something to do with the domain of logarithmic functions. And we know this log of or natural log of 0 does not exist. Even natural log of some negative number does not exist. So that means whatever the expression we have it inside this natural log, that must be always greater than 0. So that means 5x plus 2 must be greater than 0. And from here we have to solve for x. And when I'm thinking about solving for x, I'll be getting 2 goes to the other side. So it's 5x is greater than minus 2. So x has to be greater than minus 2 by 5. So either we can write it as x has to be greater than minus 2 by 5. So which means the value of a is minus 2 by 5. So we can say it a is minus 2 by 5. Or you can also give it in decimal, something like minus 0.4. Both are valid. So now this, if we get the answer minus 2 by 5, so we can get this one full mark. And next, find the range of this function. And whenever we talk about the range of log function, the range of log function can be any real numbers, always. So in that case, the range of f of x would be all real number. So mentioning it, f of x belongs to R, or saying it, describe it in words, something like all real number. So this we can get full mark. So that is 1. And next, we need to figure out what is f inverse of x for part 3. So in order to find out what is f inverse of x, so we have to basically follow few steps. So we know this f of x is ln of 5x plus 2. So in order to find f inverse of x, the first step is replacing f of x with y. So that's going to be y is equals to ln of 5x plus 2. Then I need to swap the variable. So which means swap the variable in a sense. Wherever we have x, we have to put y. And wherever we have y, we have to put x. So in that case, I'll be getting x is equals to ln of 5y plus 2. So from here, we need to make y the subject. And whenever you take ln to the other side, it becomes an exponent. So that means it will become e to the power of x. Is equals to, and the other side, so I'll be just having 5y plus 2, and 2 goes to the other side, so it's e power x minus 2 equals to 5y, and that's why y would be equals to e power x minus 2 over 5, and the final step is replacing y with f inverse x, and f inverse x in this case would be equals to just e power x minus 2 over 5. And this is the right answer for this sum. Now for part 4, and of course they are also saying it state its domain. So the domain of inverse function would be same as the range of the function. So that's why the domain would be all real number. And now the marks distribution for this sum would go something like this. So getting the inverse correct and getting this ln to the other side and swapping the variable, so getting it up till this step, we can get 1 mark. And getting the final answer correct, we can get another mark. And mentioning the domain, this is important. Mentioning the domain, we can get another mark. So this is how the 3 mark is distributed. So now for part 4, on the axis, sketch the graph y equals to f of x and its inverse. State the exact values of the intercepts of the curve and the coordinate axis. So we need to find out all the intercepts and solve the sum. So let me write down this f dash of x, f inverse of expression for f inverse of x. Yeah, the expression for f inverse of x, we got it as e power x minus 2 over 5. So now, in order to sketch this, so we should be finding out few points here. So first of all, let's find out the x and y intercepts. So the x-intercept would be, so first of all in f of x, the x-intercept if I want to find out, so I can just equate it to 0. So that's going to be f of x is nothing but ln of 5x plus 2. So first of all, let's think about how to draw the graph of f of x. So in that case, if I talk about x-intercept is nothing but when y is 0. So when y is 0, I'll be getting 0 is equals to ln of 5x plus 2. And this ln goes to the other side, it becomes an exponent. E power 0 is equals to 5x plus 2. And e power 0 is 1. And 2 goes to the other side, so it's 1 minus 2 equals to 5x. So that's why x would be equals to negative 1 over 5. So this is what we will be having it. So negative 1 over 5 is nothing but negative 0.2. Next, if I talk about the next one, so that is the y-intercept. Y-intercept is when x is 0. When you put x as 0, you'll be getting the y-coordinate or the f of x to be ln of 2. So this is what we have it. So now we also know that there will be a vertical asymptote here, that is the a value at negative 0.4. So let's consider this as negative 0.2 and this as negative 0.4 and again this as negative 0.2 and this as negative 0.4 and also, so if I talk about ln2, so the value of ln2 would be somewhere here. And on the y-axis also I put ln2 here. Okay, so if I talk about graphing this function, graphing f of x, so we know this, it passes through. So basically mentioning these points are very, very important. So f of x passes through the x-intercept of minus 0.2. So that means f of x passes through like this, and there is an asymptote here. Okay, so which means the graph will never cross this line. And the y-intercept is like this. So in that case, we know this. The graph would look something like this. And if you want to know it, let's say when x is 5 or something, what is the value, you can still substitute it and you can use the calculator and figure out. So, but mainly mentioning these points are important. So the graph would look something like this. So now, when I talk about, this will be the graph of f of x. If I talk about drawing the graph of f dash of x, I can simply reflect this graph along the line y equals to x. Along the line y equals to x, if I reflect this graph, so I can get the final result. So basically, the graph would look something like that. Not very accurately, so you can just simply draw it like that. So mainly the mentioning that x-intercept is negative 0.2 is what is very, very important. So now, So I just need to reflect this graph, and it's going to go something like this. And this graph is what is the F inverse of X. Just drawing it like this. And if you want, so you can also mention this asymptote. The asymptote will also be reflected along the line y equals to x. So now, drawing this graph can give us the full marker here. So here, when the when the evaluator is correcting it, so these are the points that they will be looking at it. So first of all, two shapes are in the right quadrants. So it should not be like, so we draw it in the third quadrant or in the fourth quadrant. So it is in the right quadrant. And also mentioning these intercepts are very important. So these 4 points. So if you draw some graph which passes through these 4 points, you will definitely get 1 mark. And also drawing the f inverse of x graph correctly. So by drawing the line y equals to x, so even if you miss to draw this line y equals to x, that's still fine, but it should look like a proper reflection along the line y equals to x. And of course, it should be symmetric about the line y equals to x. So to draw this exact graph, so we can get the 4 full marks completely. And this is the right answer for part 4. Next, finally, if I talk about part B, the function g is such that g of x is given as x power half minus 4. And we need to find out g square x equals to minus 2. So which means we need to solve that equation. So g square x is nothing but g of x. So now g of x means it's basically equal to g of x is nothing but x power half minus 4. So if I substitute this one, so g of x is nothing but, so replacing, so in this one, so instead of x, I need to substitute this entire thing in place of x. So when I do that, so I'll be getting x to the power of half minus 4 to the power of half, then minus 4, because this minus 4 stays as it is equals to minus 2. And this is what we need to solve it. If this minus 4 goes to the other side, so that will become x to the power of half minus 4 to the power of half is equals to, so on the other side, I'll be getting minus 2 plus 4. So that's just 2. And this half goes to the other side, it will become squared. So I'll just get x power half minus 4 is equals to 2 squared. So 2 squared is nothing but 4. And if I further simplify this, so I'll be getting x power half is equals to 2 squared is 4. And there's a 4 already, so it's going to be positive 4. So then finally x would be equals to, if this power half goes to the other side, so it becomes squared, so 8 squared. So 64 is the final answer. Now, the mark distribution goes something like that. That is figuring out, and it's a 3 markup. So figuring out and getting this g of x correct. So basically getting this particular expression correct. So we can get 1 mark. And simplifying it up till this step or this step, so we can get another mark, and getting the final answer correct, we can get the final 3rd mark. And this is how we solve this particular sum.